You are now listening to the J Ade podcast.
We're going to start this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the J Ade podcast. It's your boy J Ade in the building. We are back for season 3, episode 10 of the show. Thank you to everybody who's been showing me love thus far on the show. It's love, appreciate it. It's honor, appreciate it. Make sure you follow your boy on Instagram at Joe the Great. That's JOETHEGR8, as well as my podcast page at j.ade.pod. Both on the gram. We talked about infidelity in our last episode. That one was fire. Go check that out after this one because it's guaranteed heat. And I ain't talking Miami. I'm keeping it with the corny energy because that's what I do. But without further ado, before we even get into today's topic, we have two very, very special guests on the show with me today. We have one lady and we have one gentleman. And as we always do, we're going to have the lady introduce herself first, and then we're going to have the gentleman do so subsequently. So, lady, what's your name? Where you from?
Hey y'all, my name is Kalima. I am from Jersey City. You know,
Shout out
Chilltown. If y'all there, we there.
Yes, sir, ski. All right. Got any social media shout out?
I do.
Businesses, whatever the case is.
Okay, let me shout out the business page.
All
I
right.
am a private dining and caterer in case you want to eat, and I cook the great food.
She does. I can attest to this. That's a fact.
Thank you very
That's
much.
a fact.
And it is Cooking with Callie. Callie is spelled Kalii, 2 I's, don't forget.
All right. Don't forget that. All right. Nice to meet you. I know you, but nice to meet you for the show, the purposes of the show. All right. So, we got a gentleman on the show, man. What's your name? Where you from, big dog?
All right, let me practice my spelling because y'all done spelled everything out.
Come on, man.
Steven, I'm from here by way of Chicago.
Here's Maryland, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that's where we at. My fault.
All right.
First generation American Nigerian. Let's see.
Nice job, boy. Social media shout out?
Intrigued. I'm not finna spell that. It's intrigued. If you can't spell, that's not my fault.
If you can't spell, you're not meant to follow you, huh?
You know what I'm saying?
All right. Cool. And you shout out the personal as well, or you just want to keep it at the business? If so,
keep it business.
all right, cool. Keep it business. It's cool. It's cool.
If you want to find the personal, just go through the business and just start looking at that.
You can search it.
Low
if you
key
want
though,
to.
low key. All right, so man, like I said, we've talked about who's in the room right now. I already shouted out my social media. Follow these people on here, but we got a lot to talk about today, man. Y'all ready to do this?
You ready?
Let's do it. All right. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, nobody wants to be viewed as a bad person. People may try to lie and say they don't care what anyone thinks, but we know that they do, and they know that they do it, but we all know that it's not true. Someone's opinion matters to you, and it's safe to say that to a certain degree, our opinions on what is considered right versus wrong are largely impacted by how people will respond to the actions themselves. With that being said, today we will be discussing morals. All right, so we had the lady introduce herself first, so we're going to have the gentleman answer the first question, as we always do here on the J Ade podcast. This is season 3, episode 10, man. Y'all ready to do this? All righty. So, first question for you gentlemen today is, what is your definition of morals? Lady, get ready, man.
It's a value system.
Value system. Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
There's not one specific set of morals that I think any two people share. They're based off your experiences and what you personally perceive as right and wrong, and choose to try to live within, as far as like trying to be a good person.
Okay. So for you, it's a value system and a way people live their lives in order to show how they're a good person, you said?
Well, or try to, I think at the end of the day, most people, it's not just want to be perceived as a good person. Like, if you live your life and feel good when you do wrong, there's something.
You're probably a bad person.
Yeah, probably.
Correct,
But
yeah.
like it's more so most people naturally, at least things that are generally viewed as positive, take some type of enjoyment from that. So it's like the things that, kind of the parameters that you live within that give you that feeling of this was a good thing as opposed to this was a bad thing.
Got you. Okay. And what's your definition of morals?
I agree. So morals is really just like your own beliefs. It's your belief system. It's your opinions. It's what you are, who you are,
Okay.
and what you want to uphold and live by.
Okay.
And like he said, it's not something the same for anyone. It's you.
All right. It varies from person to person. I agree with that too. I would definitely say that it varies from person to person. We're going to kind of talk about why exactly it varies from person to person, but I wanted to get your baseline definition first. But before we do that, right, I wanted to officially define what morality is, right? And it says here that morality is the differentiation of intentions, decisions, and actions between those that are distinguished as proper and those that are improper. I personally thought that was a lot in terms of the definition, and I feel like y'all defined it how it should be, right? Right versus wrong. All that Merriam-Webster, you know what I'm saying, doing a lot of rapping there, but I think it's literally right versus wrong, right? And you guys talked about it's based on your environment and how you're brought up, right?
Yeah.
And I want to get into that too, right? So do you think people decide what's right and wrong based on what they are told or because what they believe it for themselves? Either y'all can answer first.
Both.
Let's talk about it.
See, all right. If you're anything like me,
We're going to get to specifics too.
They'll tell you, yeah, your parents, especially Nigerian parents, they're not going to really have that much conversation with you. Like, this is right, this is wrong, do this, don't do this.
Right.
But if you're anything like me, it's like, I hear you, but nah, I'm going to go see this. It's like, what you mean fire hot? She was right. All right, that's hot. All right. Yeah, let me check it again. All right, cool. Yeah, now that's hot. Like, but at the same time, it's the conscious is what you're told. The subconscious is your experiences to where you have some type of emotional experience with somebody and now you feel something is now right versus wrong. Or it could be as simple as watching a movie where and you don't really pay attention consciously to the fact that you took it in, especially as a child. But then you see something happen and now you know whatever you saw as wrong or right.
Right.
And then live your life upon the foundation that you built in that moment.
Okay. So in terms of believing it for themselves, right? So my question is, do you believe that everything that people believe is right or wrong is taught? Or do you think there are points in life where you can decide for yourself at this point, maybe I wasn't exposed to whether or not this is right or wrong? Are people capable of doing that?
Well, yeah. Like it's based off, there's two types of intelligence we have. One is like analytical, that is like it peaked around our age in like 20s. Right. To where you look at any situation, whether it's new or not, and you, whatever information you already have, you make an analytical decision. Right. As opposed to like crystallized intelligence that comes from your experiences. Right. That you, it's a combination.
Get psychological on them. Let's do it, man.
Like to where it's a balance. Everything's a balance because you, especially at mid-20s, there are how many situations you have yet to see. Right. So, but what you're going to do is you're still going to use whatever you can connect to in your experiences to then decide from that. And then from moment to moment, you keep doing the same thing where it's like, all right, cool, I've never seen this before, at least from what I can remember, but like my mom told me this or I experienced this when I was a kid. So now because of that, I don't feel comfortable doing this because this doesn't feel right.
I got you.
Or whatever.
Okay. And what do you think about that, right? So do you think people decide what's right or wrong based on what they're told? Or do you think it's possible for people to really decide on their own what is considered moral versus immoral?
So I don't think it's taught. I think it's learned.
Okay.
So, and that just coincides with this idea and this definition of morals. That's something that's your own. Right. That's something that you have to figure out by yourself. Now, of course, we've been taught and told what we should and we should not do from our parents, from anybody older in our lives. But it comes to think, like my mom can tell me not to do something, and then I'm going to do it. Right. Now I learned whether or not my mother was right or my mother was wrong. Right. And through those lessons and those learning opportunities and learning moments, I then come with my own idea of what's right and wrong. Right. Because my mother can tell me what not to do, and then I do it, and I'm like, I can do this. My mother didn't want me to do this because she didn't want to do it. Exactly. Because this isn't what she thought was good. Exactly. But now that I have done it, I'm like, this is what I like.
I feel that.
This is what I want to do.
I feel that.
So I can, now that I've learned who I am in the process, because that's a big thing. You have to learn your morals come from who you are personally, not from what your parents told you, not what your parents taught you to do. Right. Because we can take that as a basis, but we have to build everything off of who we are.
So it's built on experience, to be honest.
Definitely.
Yeah, you can be told stuff.
Life and experience is still a teacher. You're still getting taught.
I mean, and that's what you're saying.
You are getting taught, but you need to learn. There's a difference. Listen, I'm a teacher.
Oh, speak on it. Speak on it.
But are my kids going to learn?
Yeah, no, like having someone tell you something is different than teaching. Yeah. Because telling is your parents going, don't do this. This is wrong. This is whatever. Teaching is showing. It's explaining. It's painting a picture. Because life does the same thing. Whether it's a person teaching you something. Because when someone teaches you something, they're not just 2 + 2 = 4. Nah, they'll give you a diagram. They'll show it to you. They'll make it real. They'll make it something that you can connect with. That's life. You're still being
but we
taught.
don't have the best teachers. That's also
you
can teach me something, but you are teaching me the way you know it. You're teaching me how you know how to do it. But there's 1,000 ways to learn something.
That's a fact.
So someone can teach me something the way they want me to know it. Yeah. But if I don't get it and it doesn't get to me because I'm a different learner than them, now I have to
Yeah.
You learn it throughout yourself. I can take that teaching as a basis.
You're not. You can't be the teacher and the student.
No. You can't be the teacher and the student.
Sometimes in certain circumstances, but overall, you're still being taught. Whether it's maybe it's life's still the teacher. Okay, we're arguing.
Okay, I mean, it is semantics though, but I do think
we agree.
You agree with me.
Okay, now I want to chime in on that too. So I do think that to a certain degree, most of what you learn morally is taught by your parents or whoever raised you. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, this is right, this is wrong, or even, I guess now, especially, I guess a little bit in our generation towards our a little bit older years, maybe past like teenage years, social media has taught us to a little bit, as much as we might not want to say, social media, and we can talk about that a little bit later too, but just in general, so our parents were responsible for a lot of the things. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, things like that. You know that those are wrong because your parents have told you that those are wrong out the gate, right? So I feel like to a certain degree, life is definitely a teacher in terms of experiences, and there's certain things too where we have to realize and acknowledge the fact that sometimes our parents may tell us that certain things are wrong because they don't want you to do it. And we're going to talk about that in specifics as well. Like, the episode is packed. Trust me. So we're going to talk about that, but I wanted to get into one thing specifically. Our first specific topic of the day. We got the general answers from both of y'all already, but we're going to talk about abortion. That's number one, out the gate. And my question is, I want to ask the lady first, because men can't abort babies. They can, you know what I'm saying? They can get a whatever vasectomy, whatever the case is, but you're not holding no baby in your womb. So we want to ask the lady first, because I feel like, I value the lady's opinion first, in general on this topic, right? I think it's really the only opinion that really matters, right? So with that being said, under what circumstance is abortion considered a moral act versus immoral? And what I mean by this is the idea that I don't think it's right to bring this child into the world if I'm not able to do so, or if I'm not fit to do so, versus abortion is murder. So under what circumstance is it a moral act to abort a child, in your opinion?
All circumstances. Because like we said, morality, that's something that you choose to do. That's your own opinions. Now, if we're talking about ethically, that is just societal norms and what we think is right or wrong.
So you don't think morals and ethics are like...
No, they're not. They're two completely different things.
Interesting.
Those are two completely different things. Ethics, that's what society has taught us is wrong or right. Morals is what we have decided is wrong or right because that's who we are and what we think, and that's our opinions.
Okay.
So for the fact of abortion, that's what I decide to do. Whether or not I think it's murder, whether or not I do, it's my decision. So at all points, it is moral.
So for you, abortion is always moral because this is a decision that you decided to make.
Yes.
So you believe that it is right and therefore it's right.
Yes.
I'll disagree with you on that because in terms of just because you think something is right doesn't mean that it is right.
But also you understand, I'm thinking about myself.
Right.
As a woman,
right.
As a person, I cannot say anything about anyone else having abortion because that's not my body. That's not my child. That's not anything. So when I'm telling you if it's morally right, I'm saying morally right for me.
I got you.
So if I'm saying abortions are okay because that's my body, that's how I feel.
Okay.
If someone else has a different opinion, that's their morals. That's what they got to do. It has nothing to do with me.
Okay.
So that's why I think it's morals.
Okay. I got you. And what do you think about that, man? So under what circumstance can abortion be considered a moral act? 'Cause I know a lot of times for men, right? Men are like, obviously I'm somebody who believes that it's not my body. I'm not the one going through it. So you feel me? But at the same time, people might argue, like I said, some people say, I'm not fit to have this child. Yeah. I'm going to abort it. Versus other people are like, oh, you're murdering, pro-life, pro-choice, that whole argument. It's a political thing, right? So from a man's point of view, right? Under what circumstance would you think it would be considered, I guess, the right thing to do, right?
There's actually, when you said that, there's only one thing that came to mind.
Okay.
It's like medically.
Okay.
To where you're in a situation where the mother's life is threatened, to where they have to choose to abort the child. Okay. To where some of those circumstances, the mother is not cognitive, and so it's left between the father and the doctor.
Right.
It's one of those situations that's very murky and often very uncomfortable to talk about, only because, well, aside from the fact that we live in a world that everyone's going to jump down to your throat if you even misspeak a little bit, as opposed to kind of trying to see what you say. Yeah. But also because of the fact that we live in a world where men are passing laws to what women can do with their body.
That part.
To where when someone asks what are my opinions on it, I'm like, I can't have an opinion on something that, honestly, it's not that it doesn't concern me, it's that doesn't have to do with me per se. If I got a shorty pregnant and I guess it would have to do with me, but I'm still in the back seat. She's still driving the car. Listen, I could say hey, can you turn this left? Maybe. But she driving the car where she wanted to go. Okay. But at the end of the day, as far as my feelings about ethics and moral, to answer your question to her, I do think that they can go hand in hand. Okay. Only because they're both value systems. I also do agree with what you said, that ethics are more so kind of laid before you. Where it's most careers and subjects and situations do have a code of ethics. Right. So it is something that someone passed before you, and at that point it is fallible because anybody can be wrong. Right. And morals are yours specifically. So I agree with all of that. But I think in that sense though, because morals are what you personally view, and still people made that they do go hand in hand to some extent. Okay. to where that situation as a doctor, that actually is an ethical decision because doctors who are watching this, you can help. But the parameters to decide what's going to happen to that child are murky if you are not family or the woman themselves. As opposed to say if the woman was, I watch a lot of shows.
Right.
Say if the woman, and I know a lot of experience, say the woman is not cognitive, like something happened and now she's.
So for you, it sounds like for you, the main situation in which it is moral to have an abortion is in a case where the woman is not cognitive and it's a medical decision.
Yeah, well, okay. So I wouldn't say the ones.
I'm trying to be clear, man.
Okay, yeah, no, I very much want to make that clear.
I'm trying to clarify right now.
I don't personally think. I've never sat down and go, these are the moments I think it's okay to do this. No, I don't.
But that's what the JID podcast is forcing you to do.
No, and I got you.
Let's do it.
I personally believe that whatever any specific woman does, I'm gonna say okay. Granted, I'm gonna have a couple more words if it's my kid and I have some feelings about it.
Let's talk about it. If it's your kid, right? You get a girl pregnant right now, right? Under what circumstance can you say, yo, this is okay?
Well, so me saying that it was.
And I want to hear this from you too.
So me saying that it was more so my feelings about it, but I'm gonna still ride the same way. It's like, honestly, do what you're gonna do. Like, and that sounds callous, but it's like, sure, I may have my preferences, and I'm sure like I'll make my actual feelings known, where it's like about like caring and about like making sure I'm not callous and not feeling anything. But like, at the end of the day, I'm not making this choice. I can tell you and I can share with you candidly what I feel, and like what, and like my feelings about it, especially if this is someone who I care, like I'm close, I'm really, it's like, well, I say like honestly, at this point, I make this joke a lot. Being Nigerian, top like 5 things you could do to really make your mom mad. Bring her home around a kid. That's top 3. That's top 3.
I agree with
it's
that.
like that. Like really visible tattoos, especially on your face. Now that's definitely number 1 face. But like unplanned parenthood is definitely number 2. But honestly, at the age that most of us are at, like it's not like we're still like young, still in school time, but we all have like jobs. Sure, it might be a little spicy. My mama might not talk to me for like a week or 2, be a little angry. But like, I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna be a father. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, but no, if I say that and then she goes, no, I'm not ready, I'm doing this, I'm like, oh, okay, like because what else am I going to say?
Okay, and an argument, kind of argument to that, right? So what else am I gonna say, right? So let's switch it up. I'm gonna have a question for the lady here. Let's switch it up, right? So let's say you already got some kids under y'all belt, right? You feel me? So let's say you have 5 kids already, right? And your husband says, yo, like, I'm trying to have this 6th kid. You get pregnant and you're like, yo, like, I'm not trying to have this 6th kid. At that point, and at that point you're like, no, I don't want to have it. And he says that's wrong for you to get rid of this child. We already have 5. Let's make this family bigger, right? At that point, what goes through your mind at that point in terms of?
So we already previously had the conversation. He was like, I want to have another kid.
But no, I mean, because actually,
that
matter of fact, let's say y'all didn't have that conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's 5. You already have 5 kids under y'all belt. Y'all just living a married life. You know what I'm saying? And out of nowhere, oh, I'm pregnant. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, it's like, you feel me?
I don't know. After 5 kids, you're fertile. So you need to do what you need to do to not be fertile. And if you have that 6th kid and you as the woman, you're like, that's a difficult conversation. And
Let's talk about it.
It's a lot different because like I have 5 children.
Okay.
And for a lot of people, that's a lot.
Let's say y'all are like rich, so money doesn't matter.
Money doesn't matter. You're being selfish.
Oh, give one of the kids away and replace the 5th kid. Like, you just pop that, like I'm saying, like, give your cousin a kid, be like, hey, Brody, Merry Christmas. And then now the 6th become the I'm playing too quickly.
Now, what were you saying, though, sir?
Get away. If you're rich and money, a lot of issues that when people have abortions and women decide they don't want a child because they're not ready, they're not prepared, or it's just something they genuinely do not want.
Right.
But if you have that, have that preparation, you have the money to have a child, and you are fighting with yourself, and you are able to carry that child for 9 months.
Right.
You don't want it, carry it. You can give it to abort. You can give it to adopt. You can give it to adoption agency if you have the means to do so. Because so many people don't.
Right.
You should.
So that's what you would do subjectively, correct?
If I would have to have that conversation with myself. Like, is this something I want to do?
Yeah.
Even if I don't want the child, but is this something I am able and I'm ready and I want to do?
But if your husband says this is wrong for you to get rid of the child, you're like, yo, your health is not in question necessarily. the money's not in question, and those are usually two big things. You know, your health. It's like, yo, like, I don't know if I can carry, like, as you said, you know, I don't know if I can carry this child, or I don't know if I can afford this child. But at this point, you guys are multimillionaires. You got 5 kids on your belt already. And his only argument is, you should have the 6th child because it is wrong for you to abort this child.
Let me know. That's my husband. He knows already from the jump. I'm going to do what I want to do.
No, exactly.
That's my husband, and we got 5 kids. You know, if I tell you I don't want this baby, I don't want this baby, it's not an argument. It's not a conversation.
Why not, though?
Because you're my husband, and you know what I say, I'm going to tell you, especially according to my body and what's happening. That's what's going down. It's not a problem, so that wouldn't be an issue.
But what if he's like, yo, I'm leaving if you do this wrong act?
I'm rich. Bye, baby.
Yeah, she not about to. Yeah, no. I want you to know the only thing I was gonna say. I was like, from the little conversations I've had with her, I'm like, him saying you can't do this because it's wrong. We're already going in the wrong direction. Like at that point, it's like, oh, I don't got to think about nothing anymore because now we got a different thing to talk about.
Right.
Like,
Okay. So we got the moral compass here in terms of that, and I agree with that as well. So I think that in terms of, I kind of agree with both of y'all for a little bit, right? In terms of, when it comes to abortion, I think that it's the woman's decision ultimately, right? But it's also circumstantial. You know what I'm saying? Like that conversation of whether or not she chooses to keep that child is really not my place at all. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, I would argue that, yo, like, Shorty's is wildin', da-da-da-da. Like, why would you do that? But, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm not the one carrying that child.
The only issue I have with it, only because we are now in like a super like politically correct time period.
Exactly.
Everyone's gonna jump on everybody. Like I don't like the fact that it is deemed like, well, for lack of a better term, like anti-feminist for a man to speak. Now, see, no, I very much agree that it's not. No, we've already depicted that. Like,
Let's talk about it.
But I think conversations are how does the world.
That's how you learn. Yeah.
Now, see, do I think you'd be like, nah, I think we should do that? No. But I think as far as like, if there's somebody, especially somebody you care about, you should have a conversation because you should always express what you want,
right?
Or what would, or why you feel what you feel, or whatever, to give the other person a full picture to operate with,
right?
To where, but oftentimes, like, we'll get to that point where we started, we're just like, not our place to say anything because of the society we live in. Where
I agree with that point too, though.
Yeah,
that sometimes
like,
men
we
feel
can't
silence.
say anything, and it's like, no, I wouldn't even say the point of being silence because like we live in a misogynistic world. Like we,
I'm saying
really
silence in terms of.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Which I don't. I think that overcompensation of trying to balance out women not being heard is where it's like we're no longer in the middle to the point where like that's what feminism is. Feminism isn't like, oh yeah, women aren't. It's literally just equality. At least that's what it was meant to be before, like all the. And then, granted, yes, it's more so for white women, but whatever. Like it grew. Like that's fine. Yeah. It was more so like equality. It was just lifting women up to the height of men, to where at that point everything should be a conversation. Granted, I still don't think men be like, nah, you got to get rid of it, whatever. Cool, because like, slow down, brother. Because guess what? I shouldn't make that joke. But like,
listen, but it also plays a lot.
Wait.
It plays a lot in the partner that you have.
Agreed.
If you're not able, if you feel silence in your relationship or who you're with, you should not be. If the topic is abortion, you should feel regardless, because you know it don't matter what you say, but you should be able to speak to your girlfriend. You should be able to talk to her and tell her and she should be able to listen to you.
Right.
And if it becomes an issue where it's not, that's not who you need to be with.
I feel that.
But I mean, I will say that's not a real thing as far as humans. Everyone has that specific topic, if not multiple, each one of us, that if someone really, and mind you, I like to be as like well-spoken and listening and everything as possible. Everyone has at least that one topic that it's going to be harder for you to listen than others.
Right.
To where when somebody starts talking, you automatically have a wall.
Like, it
doesn't matter how reflective, how introspective you are, everyone has something.
No matter how much somebody might say this is wrong or you're wrong about this. And like I agree with that too. Okay.
You could be deep thinking all you want or have a relationship where the person constantly listens, but then you hit that situation you've never been before and it's like, yo, why is she not listening? Why can't I say this in this moment? Because you've never seen that. To where it's not their overarching personality, but that's the situation.
You don't feel like you have enough power to make them listen?
And don't nobody have the power over nobody to do nothing.
If you are that type of person, you can listen.
So you believe in your man making you listen?
I can talk my way into anything. I can get people to do it.
Hold on. So question. You believe in your man making you listen?
I'll listen, okay? Listen.
Okay.
But if it's a topic, like you said, it's topics like if you talk to me about Black lives and you on a different side as me, I'm not trying to listen to you because I know I'm right.
Hold on.
But if you are compelling.
No, can I respond to that, please? I don't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm going to let y'all make this point and we're going to get back to this conversation about morals.
So just because someone's on the other side of you, that means they can't have that means you're already right?
Ain't nothing you can tell me that I don't already know about this that's going to make me think that other than what I already think.
In any regard, even the smallest of things.
Yes, sir.
I want to know, okay, so, and that's a perfect transition point too, right? This idea of kind of being stuck in your ways in terms of your beliefs on where you draw lines, right? And I want to transition that specifically into music.
Yeah.
Right? And what I want to talk about specifically is kind of where people choose to draw the line in terms of the actions of the people they decide to listen to. Okay. Specifically, right? When it comes to music, people don't care if it's a murderer they're listening to, but they might care a little bit more if it's somebody who is involved in domestic violence, right? So we can listen to Chief Keef, who is a, murderer, as I'm sure we all know, to a certain degree. But then people draw the line at Tory Lanez, right? So I wanted to understand. We're talking morals here, right?
It sounds like he just has bad aim. So like I don't.
So no, but whoa, JID podcast. I'm not saying nothing about that. But so no. But seriously though, right? So and we're talking about in terms of drawing lines, in terms of I believe this. So murderer, domestic violence, all the way up here. You know what I mean? So I want to kind of understand where the disconnect is, right? So we listen to people who are talking about selling drugs, but obviously they're destroying lives, right?
Yeah.
Funneling drugs into the black community, ultimately killing us, incarcerating us, or whatever the case is. So I want to understand at what point, like, are all of these things immoral? Like, how is one worse than the other? Like, is domestic violence and assault not worse than murder? Or like, how do we? Would you like to go first? How do we gauge it? Yeah, you can go first.
Oh, it don't matter.
It don't matter. But I want to understand like how people really decide which act is worse. Like, you know what I'm saying? People decide what artists they listen to. For the most part, actors, musicians, entertainers in general, athletes are all low-key terrible people. You feel me? But people decide like, yo, I'm gonna listen to blah 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 artist. He beats his wife, but I'm gonna listen to this nigga who murders people.
But everyone could be deemed a terrible person depending on whose morals you're being looked at through.
Come on, let's talk about it.
So like yes, there are certain actions that will make me not want to associate with an artist or an actor's who they are as a person, because like we end up investing more so into people's lives just depending on how much we like, whether inspirational,
how much you're connected to them.
like Michelle Obama, like she like where you want to invest more in, because they have more to give you. You'll read their books, you'll so on and so forth based off of what they've shown you, and other ones that you more so disassociate yourself from their lives and more so what they can give you, because there are plenty of people that could be deemed as terrible people who have made prolific movies and music that could have possibly saved people's lives, who could have like changed the way they viewed something because they used
so does that
their
excuse?
Ability. No. Those are two separate things.
Let's talk about it.
I can watch their movie even though this person went to jail for 5 years for domestic violence. If that movie saved someone's life because someone else wrote that, someone else, and you were able to use the talent that you have to bring that to life to now help people.
So does that excuse it?
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't excuse it. It's not going to excuse it. But like, I think that it's a very different. It's a topic. So, especially we're in this day and age, a lot of people are doing things.
Right.
I find it myself, like I try my best to separate people from their art, from what they have done and what they're doing and exactly who they are as a person, because none of us, unfortunately, at this moment are perfect.
Right.
So when I see things like the whole R. Kelly thing, I'm like, I grew up on R. Kelly.
Right.
Those were my songs. I didn't know he was doing those things.
Right.
And if you put on a song right now by R. Kelly, I'm going to sing
still believe
it.
I can fly.
I can fly. When I listen to that song, I can fly. But I also know he's not a good person.
I mean, yeah,
terrible.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing, right? So and I'm glad you made that point, right? So you listen to R. Kelly, obviously sick nigga. You feel me? Like, what the fuck? Niggas on some other shit. You know what I'm saying? Sick dude, great songs, right? But at the same time, how do we, like I said, once again, Chief Keef, all of GBE, mass murderers. You feel what I'm saying? Like, killing people. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, but people were like, fuck nigga, that's the shit I don't like. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how do we draw the line, right? Like, how do we decide, okay, R. Kelly's done. I mean, for y'all, right? Y'all said that y'all still believe in y'all can fly, right? So y'all.
Okay. Wait, no. I'm sorry. Wait, before we go, I gotta.
Let's talk about
you can go. R. Kelly on my list.
So the thing about it is like, I remember like specific songs of R. Kelly have resonated in my life at different periods of time.
Right.
Like I'm pretty sure I remember the last time I was not the last time, but one of my times we went back to Chicago. I think I was like 17. My mom, and my sister came back from Panera. We just met R. Kelly in Panera. Like, obviously that was a little time ago,
right?
Like 10 years ago. But like, me personally, I want him to rot in a hole. I want the people that he's hurt to have the satisfaction to understand that this person is nowhere near you. This person will now deal with what he did.
Right.
But at the same time, disassociating, like,
you have to.
The artist from the art.
Think about, honestly, artists, and I say this often, artists and creatives, honestly, are crazy.
They're the most fucked up people in the world.
Yeah, well, okay, slow down. Now, listen, because at that point, that is judgment.
I want to hear your point on that, too.
Because what it is an artist is a person who sees the world or whatever, the point of their art from a different way than everybody else.
Okay.
And now uses their outlet to now paint a picture.
People use that as an excuse to.
No. The thing is, fuck the excuse. Like, I don't believe in the excuse. Now, at that point, you get every action has a reaction. Whatever you did, you have to deal with the action. But now, just because you did that, other people shouldn't have to suffer also.
Right.
So at least to whatever extent you can manage that. So if at some point one of these songs, which R. Kelly has made gospel music. Now, if that has stopped somebody from losing the last bit of hope or whatever, that shouldn't be stripped away from them. He should just have to run in the hole like that. Like, and it's a hard line. And like, yes, cancel culture makes a difference, but at the same time, it's like and that's because his music is positive. That's different. Like, he's a different example as opposed to like GBE and all them.
Right.
To where, like, if you use the Baby example, he's murdered 2 people legally. Like, I personally have no issue with it. He makes fun visuals talking about murder. Like, nigga, like it's fun. But like, at the end of the day, those murders were different. At least if you want to talk about them, where it's like it was self-defense. It was people who were attacking him, and to where your feeling of the person is now switched one way. But that still has nothing to do with what we're saying as far as the art's over here and the person is here.
Okay. But it's when you are that artist, and is your artistry reflecting what you have done? That's the question. Like, if I am, I don't listen to Chief Keef. I don't know who those people are.
Wow.
But
you know who Chief Keef is?
I know who Chief Keef is. I know who GB.
That's
Glory Boys Entertainment.
Yeah, that's not me.
All right, continue that.
And I don't listen to him because I know he be rapping, singing stuff, and I'm like, that doesn't resonate with me. Right. I don't know what's going on.
Fair.
But when they take that time and they're like, okay, I'm going to create this. This has nothing to do with who I am as a person, but I'm going to create this. I'm going to give this to you. And I'm like, oh, this resonates with me.
Yeah.
I take this. This is what I want. This is what I needed.
Yeah.
Damn, the person who sung that, I didn't know he was like that. Yeah. That's crazy, but I still got this out of it.
Right.
Thank you for giving that to me.
But at the same time, it's so crazy. Music
it's crazy.
Of their personal experiences, and there's other kids who, granted, yes, some of it is negative as opposed to this. I mean, in reference to this specific circumstance. But if you're making music that it's like if we use a little bit, or like they talk about their experiences that were for the most part because they had to, or at least at the time that's the best they could see. To now you have little kids looking at you, and now you show them it's like, all right, cool, but look at what I'm doing now. This is where I came from, but this doesn't have to be where you end. Yeah, it is still reflecting where you come from, because at the same time, if somebody making music that has nothing to do with me, I might enjoy it because of the bass, but I'm not gonna feel it.
People move the goalposts in terms of that too, in terms of like the whole like this is where you were, this is why you did what you did kind of thing, and I guess that kind of goes into the whole cancel culture thing in terms of like who were willing to cancel based on what they did and when they did it, right? So for example, like we're talking about, like I said, we're talking about Chief Keef versus like Tory Lanez, but let's talk about like Chris Brown and Rihanna, for example, right? Like I feel like people tend to excuse things based on how much they like those people.
Definitely.
Because talent is more important than morals.
It's easy. Yeah, and that's the point. Talking to the camera, say that part right there.
Talent is more important than morals.
Think about it. Chris Brown and Rihanna situation, obviously, people love Chris Brown, people love Rihanna.
Yeah. I
guess cancel culture wasn't that much of a thing when that happened, but the fact of the matter is, right, people pick and choose when they want to hold people accountable. In terms of what is immoral and what is moral, and I personally think that is clown behavior, right? The way I see it is if you're gonna cancel somebody for beating his wife,
cancel them regardless.
Cancel the murderers too. Cancel all the niggas. You feel me? If that's what you're gonna do, otherwise, I'm saying you're picking and choosing who you cancel based on who you like.
I don't like.
But that's how people live their life.
I don't like cancel culture regardless because it's based off of self-righteousness.
Okay,
because
let's talk about
you looking at somebody else and going,
I'm better than them kind of thing.
Essentially, like for you to really depict that, you're in a standpoint of a higher morality to where I can say, nah, they're wild or they're wrong for this. They need to be canceled.
Right.
Well, you was just upstairs doing whatever stupid shit you was doing in your house, and then came downstairs on your computer talking that best bullshit, and somebody comments with 366 people that you follow, and you got one follower. Like, no, like.
But what you done? You're not on that pedestal. You doing that in your basement or whatever, you're not on the pedestal that Tory Lanez or Chris Brown are on, because and unfortunately they didn't sign up to be in that. You signed up when you signed for that deal, but I put you on this pedestal. No, it is true, because now you have this platform and people are constantly looking at you. They're judging you. Right. So of course, when you do something wrong, even though I might have done that same wrong thing, it's like, damn, you did that. I trusted you. I supported you, and this is what you did, because we put them on that pedestal. Now everything that they do, cancel culture is so big because like, yo, I supported you. And now my support was taken a whole nother way.
People pick and choose.
Our parents support us, and we do stupid shit our whole lives.
My parents gotta love me. She has to love me.
But her point is that, like, yes, we supported them and followed them, right? But like I said, people still pick and choose who does bad things, and that. For example,
that idea pretends that they're not regular people.
But we pretend they're not regular people.
I don't.
No, I don't either. Listen, I don't either. But majority, and you can't say they don't. Because the reason they're celebrities.
Agreed.
There are these people. We put them where they are. So now that we have put them, everything they have done is such scrutiny. I'm looking at them, everything they have done. So I'm going to judge you harshly. That I'm going to judge my brother. Right. I'm going to judge you harshly. That I'm going to judge myself. Right. Because now you're here. You're supposed to be this expectation, something I'm supposed to follow and look up to. You, not me either, because trust me, I only look up to God. But that's what a lot of people think. No, I only.
I'm about to say, I was like, listen, this conversation gonna change. Because listen, we talking about my Jesus now. Like, I can
but to that point though, like I said, people kind of move the goalposts based on how much they love that person, right? So for example, right? It's a lot easier, Sheck West, for instance. I'm just dropping names. This is probably the most name dropping I've done on any episode ever, J.I.D. podcast. Probably won't do it again.
Hey, tag everybody who he done said. Hey, make sure they
let's collab on the track, man. Yeah. Like for example, Sheck West is either cancel Sheck West because he probably had what? Mo Bamba, Liz Sheck West, Die Sheck West. So when he came out with the whole DV thing with Justine Skye, it was easy to cancel that nigga.
I don't know anything about this.
That nigga only had 2 songs to his name.
Wait, he was beating Justine Skye.
He was being abusive.
As fine as she is, hold on, listen. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on.
It's more than the looks. Though. I mean,
I don't know if you can watch this, but look, I would never do that to you. I would never do you like that, Justine.
Okay.
All right.
That's a shameless plug right there. No. What I'm saying though, like it's a lot easier to cancel somebody who's on the rise, up and coming, as it is to cancel somebody who has risen, right? At the end of the day, like I said, the Chris Brown situation, people say, oh, Chris Brown did exactly what Sheck West did, right? I don't know the extent to which...
It was a lot more public.
Yeah, I don't know the extent to which it happened, but at a surface level, Chris Brown engaged in domestic violence, and so did Sheck West. People listen to Chris Brown still to this day, and Sheck West has essentially been exiled from the face of the earth.
If we're being fair, there was a time.
People move the goalposts.
No, but there was a time period, like when that first happened. No, Chris Brown was not. No.
Yeah, he was exiled.
Yes, no. Like, but granted. Think about it. What did we say? Talent is more important than morals. Like it. He came because he has the catalog that he does, and he's literally, arguably, top 3 best entertainers of all time, like best performers of all time. Like to the same, if we use another one,
what's that?
Like literally, Beyonce can do no wrong. She's one of the other 3, and Michael Jackson. Literally, what happened? The same, obviously not the same situation, but we gave him so much grace because it's like, but it's Michael Jackson.
But that's what I'm thinking.
That's it. But who knows Sheck West?
Like, and that's what it is.
A lot of people don't know him.
But at that point, there is some variance because the situations weren't exactly the same. Like, I would say, granted, there's a decent chance, because we don't know, it could have ended up the same way. But if Chris Brown just like up and cut it and just literally started beating the brake off her for nothing, like she looked at him crazy, whatever. Rihanna even spoke out saying that like she, it was a conflict, like she whatever, which added more to Chris Brown's side as far as like.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that a little bit too, right? In terms of the grace that one side's getting versus the other. No, what you gonna say?
No, I mean
you making some sounds over here. Let's talk about it.
No. What I'm saying is
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's like Rihanna told him she antagonized him. She did that.
Right.
He don't have no excuse. He doesn't have an excuse anyway. But you said it added more to his side. Nothing should be added to his side because as a man, he shouldn't have done anything.
Well, actually, no, and I personally,
at that moment, I didn't look at Chris Brown differently or less talented. I looked at him as less of a man.
Well, and that's fine. That's acceptable. And what I would say is, as a man who was raised truly like never putting. If and I've had this conversation recently for some strange reason, if a woman attacked you with like some type of weapon, whatever, I'm like, well, it depends on the weapon. Like, I mean, if somebody can get away from her, all right, cool. If it's something I'm like, if I do this, it's either I'd like respond physically or I'm getting stabbed or shot in the face. Oh yeah, it changes the case. Mm-hmm. So like, as far as like conflict, no, I still agree. What I'm saying is it wasn't a validation thing where it's like, oh, she did something too, so it's okay. No. But at the end of the day, if you do something to someone and they're completely conflicting with it, they're like, oh yeah, they're completely on the opposite side. Everyone, especially if it's a woman versus a male, in this circumstance, rather than saying like it's just because it's woman versus male, it's gonna be like, oh, absolutely not, whatever. But if the person who apparently like you committed this thing against does advocate for you to some extent, like literally parole hearings in jail, that literally happens, where someone who can come and speak towards your character or speak to who you're possibly wrong, that makes a difference. Because at that point, they, especially as the one who was committed against, see some type of like balance it or some type of like issue with it as far as like, all right, this other person isn't like the devil. It's like you have to add every perspective to make sure it's a full picture you're looking at. Because you look at a painting with no color, you're not gonna get the same shading and light and understand the full gravity of the painting without the color. Okay. So you're just adding perspective to the situation.
I don't agree.
Let's talk about it.
I don't agree.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. JAD podcast, baby.
I don't agree. I think that at that moment when that person starts to add, especially something as heinous as domestic violence, and that person will advocate, well, this is why. No, now y'all both some dumbasses. Okay, you brought this to my attention. No, you brought this to my attention and you made this such a big deal because it is a big deal. And now you're trying to take it back. Oh, well, actually, what happened? No. What happened was wrong. Yes, you did something to help aid or antagonize him, to help him do what he did wrong. You're both for wrong at this point. It does not help either character. In fact, it hurts both of you.
Okay.
I personally think it's you're going against the statement that you started here with, as far as like as far as your morals.
Let's talk about it.
Like morals are each specific to person, so you would never tell someone they're wrong based off their morals because those morals are theirs. So if someone chooses
based on my own morals, it is wrong. I'm able to make an opinion.
Hold on. If someone chooses because of maybe they understand or feel like I've done wrong in my life and someone showed me grace, so I want to show someone grace, or I don't validate the height or depth of your life based off of one action, and I want to speak out towards you, or I want to like be softer towards you, that doesn't make you dumb. That just means their heart's in a different place than yours.
You might not think they're, I do, and I wholeheartedly agree they're dumbasses. But you might not think they're dumb because that's you. But I'm telling you, me as morally, and I'm watching it subjectively from my point of view, dumb and dumb. Because I can say,
what do you think is
when you do something that don't make any sense.
To whom?
To me.
Exactly.
To me. So I'm able to call you dumb because that is my opinion. That's what I think. You might not agree you're wrong, but that's your business.
And that's cute. But I'm going to let you go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, okay, so I want to understand this too, though. So we're talking about, you said both parties are dumb, right? You know, that doesn't support either side. The fact that she came out and said that, you know what I'm saying, I did my little fair share of things too, right? And I kind of want to discuss that in terms of, I guess not necessarily women versus men, but, women versus men, right? In terms of which side do you believe receives more grace, right? In terms of like, the wrong things that they do, right? So, for example, let's talk about, once again, Cardi B, for instance. Okay. Cardi B has come out. We name dropping hella celebrities today. You feel me? Love you, Cardi B.
When I repost this, I'm tagging everybody.
No. So, okay. So, for example, right? So, you said both parties are dumb, right? But I want to kind of understand, kind of flip the script a little bit, right? And I want to get it from your perspective, obviously yours too. So, Cardi B, for instance, right? Cardi B has come out and said that she, during her time as a stripper, drugged clients and robbed them for their money. All right? But obviously, drugging people is never okay, right?
Agreed.
But nobody canceled her for this. Everybody was, get your coin, sis, get to the bag, right? If a male rapper, if they came out, if a male rapper came out and said, "Yo,
you going to jail now?"
Literally, if a male rapper came out and said, "Yo, I was, drugging people to, whatever, get money from shorty, whatever the case is," then he's perceived in a different way. And I kind of want to understand that from you. Why do you think that is? Do you feel like there are certain acts of immorality that women are forgiven a lot more for versus men? And why do you think that is? We'll hear from your perspective then.
In that instance, both should be perceived the same. It's wrong.
Okay.
That's just morally to me.
Okay.
Ethically, ethically, that is wrong.
Okay.
But because, and I don't agree, but I can see how it could be how Cardi B was allowed to have that and not be canceled and allowed it to be a joke.
Let's talk about it.
She's a woman, and women are always going to be seen as the weaker gender, the less stronger gender. They are, you can't protect yourself.
Right.
You can't, I drugged that man. She said her objective drugging him was getting his money and going. Now, when a man has an objective for drugging it, I'm going to rape her. I'm going to get something out of her. That's something a lot bigger and deeper than that. Right. So that is why people, when they saw that instance, it was a joke. It was like, oh, girl, I would like to do that too. Yeah, that's fun. It's not good whatsoever, but they knew that her ultimate motive wasn't anything that was like that bad. Robbing is bad, but it wasn't that bad to them.
And I want to know from you, why is that not that bad? You said, right, alternatively, if a man were to drug a woman the same way Cardi B drugged men to take her money, that is probably trying to
if someone comes to me, and God forbid this never happens, but if I'm in an instance and someone is trying to rob me, do I want to protect my wallet or my body? I want to protect myself. Right. So in that money can come and go. That's what happens. Right. So when we talked about that instance, it's like, that's money. He gonna get some more money. He has some more money. He got some more in the bank. Right. So it's not that issue. Right. But if it was a man, it's more than, he's not robbing her for her money. I mean, let's say
so let's say it is actually money. Let's say same scenario.
1-to-1.
1-to-1. So same way Cardi B drugging dudes, getting their money. Guy drugged the girl, took her money. For example, the dude knew the prostitute shorty had money in her purse and literally just wanted the bread. You know what I mean? Like nothing else. I'm here for the bread. At that point, who's going to be viewed worse at that point? Same act.
Bad. Men are going to be, it's equally bad, but men are going to be viewed worse because of the fact that with men, it's not just ever that. Because you are this stronger person. It is. Because you are this stronger person and you had the capability to do more than just take that money. Okay. So now it's back on my head, oh, he robbed, but what else did he do? Because she was drugged. Right. She was incapable. She was weak. So I'm thinking about what else he did.
People's minds do tend to wander more.
I feel that, but at that point, if you're both vulnerable and you're both drugged, no, it's even. You can both have the capacity and the strength to do whatever you wanted at that point. But I do actually agree with the vast majority of everything you said. What I will say is the only thing I don't agree with is so you were asking who's usually viewed worse when it comes to like those morality.
Like who's given more grace, right? So if two people do that.
Actually, all right, nigga, you're not gonna like this. But
let's talk about
men are, because traditionally what's gonna happen? What our grandparents say? Boys will be boys. Mm-hmm. And men, they do give, and if we're gonna be honest, like nigga cheat on his girl 16 times and his girl take him back. He find out his girl was texting somebody. Why would this bitch ever do me like this? I loved her. I was good to her aside from the cheating. Like that. Like it is. They are showing more grace in that regard. But like when it comes to this situation, all right, this is the first thing that came to our mind. It's the era we live in. So we're in a time period where everyone who was disenfranchised, who were forced into positions of lesser than for whatever reason by whatever group, are in a time period of taking back that power or doing whatever they can to, including women. So if we speak to like women, I mean music, right? So like City Girls, Meg Thee Stallion, which I'm actually a big Meg fan.
Me too. That's my sis.
But
shout out Meg, man.
But it's to where they celebrate like sexuality and like themselves and like music,
liberation.
But like, and also like, oh yeah, nah, like check off on this nigga, like take this nigga money, like so on and so forth, whatever, to where it becomes a lot more commonplace,
socially acceptable.
Exactly, to where now hearing like, oh, you used to do this, it's like, oh, I heard this in a City Girl song last week, which I personally feel neither way about. Like I'm like, we've been listening to songs about niggas shooting and murdering and selling drugs for years. At that point, a little bit of theft. That is what it is.
And we were talking about that exactly earlier in terms of how murder is considered a little bit more socially acceptable because, like you said, the City Girls thing, right? So the idea of robbing a nigga, taking his visa, swiping it, whatever the case is deemed as socially acceptable as
especially
running up on a nigga and taking his jewels.
And where I agree is because of the depiction of men being like masculine and large. Mind you, half these niggas be like real little and like
that's a fact.
Listen, women, stop letting petite niggas hurt you. Right? Like, listen,
you could be him.
Like, beat that nigga ass, all right. But looking at it in a situation where like they are softer and are less expected to do certain things, but what you said where you like every time it's more than that, and that's not the truth. It's never that simple.
It might not be more than that, but that is what it's going to be seen as.
I'll give you that, unless you're somebody who tries to be objective, to where you understand that there's no person in this world who can look at another person and know the height of their life. Period. You could date them for 30 years. You could. Granted, if
they don't date me for 30 years.
I was like, but no, even your parents, no one knows the height of what goes on in your mind. They can know you like to an infallible point.
Right.
So no one can look at someone else's situation, like like a shorty like brings you her heart problems. She's like, why would he do it? Motherfucker, I don't know. But I mean, here's some perspective I can give you. I was like, well, these are all the possibilities I can see. I can't tell you the answer because I don't know.
Okay.
To where you can't look and go, oh yeah, nah, I know he was in there for something, because at that point you're speaking with some type of predisposition you already have. Whether it's one of your personal experiences, something that you've seen.
But I'm not saying that that's something that you know. You're not going to know, but I'm saying that's what we're going to think, because that is what happened. That's that is fair. Normal. That is not accepted, but that is what's more normal.
Drugging usually connects with sexuality.
And I wanted to talk about that too, right? Just as a transition point again, right? And what's considered to be normal. And I wanted to talk about that once again in reference to men and women. And I wanted to talk about norms as it pertains to the moral aspect of chivalry, right? And specifically, I want to know, do y'all think that men do the things that they do for women because it's the right thing to do, or because they've been told that not doing those things is wrong? Either one of y'all can answer first. I guess you just spoke, so you can go first on that. So do you think these niggas out here are being genuine because they believe that this is the right thing to do, or do you think they're doing it because if I don't do it, then people gonna say I'm bad for it?
I'm going to speak personally. And
let's talk about it, man. I got some thoughts on this too, man. I'll be like, y'all talk.
When you think about, so what do you mean by like the things men do genuinely?
So for example, paying for the first date, for example. Okay. Paying for the first date, simple example is one a lot of us talk about. Opening doors, pulling Shorty's chair out for her. Stuff like that. Do you think he's doing it because he feels like, you know what, this is the right thing to do? Or do you think he's doing it because if I don't do it, then people won't say I'm a bad guy? You know what I'm saying?
I think he's doing it because as a woman, as me, that's what I expect, and that's what I deserve. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm going to get.
We can talk about that too in terms of why you expect and deserve that. No, let her finish first, and then we can get you.
That is so. I definitely feel like men are taught. You're taught by your parents, your mother, your father. Right. This is what you should do with a woman. Okay. This is what you should, and whether or not you agree with it or not, you decide that for yourself. Okay. But also, men want to be. Like if I just met this man, he's gonna want to be preconceived as this is the type of man for me. You're gonna do everything right because you want to impress me. Right. You want to show me you can do that. Right. But it comes to a point where that stuff stops if it's not genuine. You can tell if it's not genuine. Okay. And with me, it's like, oh, I'm gonna notice from the beginning that it's something that you're doing to show me that I can do this. Yeah, you faking the front. Like I know who you are as a person. Gotcha. Before you that can be figured out. It's not a problem. No, I'm not psychic. I'm intuitive.
Ooh. But intuition has a line.
Okay, intuition has a line, but that line gets drawn before that. No, I'm not assuming.
There's a certain line. The
I'm
line
not
between
assuming.
Intuition.
If you show me something, it's not me making an assumption. It's me realizing what you showed me, and you don't even realize that you showed it.
Actually, the reasoning someone does this. 30 people could do the same thing for 30 different reasons.
Okay, but now I'm putting myself into the situation, and I know why you just did that
because
I'm looking. No, I'm not psychic.
All right, so what do you think? All right,
so my view on this is a constant topic of conversation for me. For me specifically, if I ask a woman out on a date, no, I have all intention of paying. But that also, I will also say that does have to do with growing and having certain income and being the capability to do certain things.
Other factors, yep.
But I will say, coming from the household I come from, where my house is led by women. Okay. So where, sure, I'm venturing into my house now at my age, but to where I have a mother who cook, clean, but it could change oil. It's the line to the unfortunate part for most men is now with the world we live in, you have to go in and figure out what kind of woman you're dealing with, because not all women want that. Mm-hmm. A lot of women, they're not even a lot. It's just some want. I don't need you to do that for me. Right. I can do this myself. I am whole. Which is fine. And the thing is, no one needs it, and some don't like it. Some prefer it. Some are okay either way. Some like some of them. And I personally, that's why I like to have conversations about everything. I'm like, just tell me because my mom taught. Look, I'm gonna open doors, but I'm gonna open doors for the man behind me. I'm walking in regardless. Right. That's gender. I mean, that's gender regardless. Gender specific. I'm gonna stand on the outside of the sidewalk because Cause motherfucker, if we getting hit by a car, I'm getting hit first. Like they're like.
But are you doing that because that's what you were taught growing up, or do you believe that is?
You know what's funny? My mom ain't teach me that. I learned
right.
that with. So, for me specifically, because I have very like my. I have very fast instincts.
Right.
So even honestly, even if I'm out with some of my male friends, they don't notice it, but I'm usually the one on the outside of it because I feel like I'm gonna notice first. So at that point, that's instinct for me, not just gender.
But is that right versus wrong in your opinion, or is that just like a matter of just?
Well, personally, I don't think it's wrong for me to go. I don't want to get by a car. Sit the other side. Like I'm gonna jump, you jump. Like that. I don't think that's wrong or right. I think that that's ability toward and preference or like a thought. Like especially if it's men. Especially like I'm speaking towards the like. I see your face. All right, she's like, nigga, that's it.
You got something to say? We're gonna get to you in a bit.
But if in the circumstance where you can't go dealing with every single woman the exact way because everybody's different.
Right.
To where some women was like, no, literally, you open the door like, thanks, but I don't need you to do that. I'm like, okay, closes the door in front of her. Like what do you? Okay. To where you have to see because like what you said, you were like. He's gonna do that because that's what I deserve. But for some people, they don't feel that's they feel that has more to do with the whole I'm conceived as perceived as weak and need to be taken care of and need to. Depending on your perspective, it's just whatever you want. I am the kind of person that likes taking care of things.
Okay.
So this it coincides with finding the person who is the match for you. The type of person that you can handle and you are able to. So you're saying you're a type of person that should take care of things. Right. So naturally you will go find a person who likes to get her things taken care of. No, I won't. But that's what you should do because if you know that's what you want.
No, let me tell you. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you 2 hours ago. Let me tell you more about myself.
Oh Lord.
I don't plan to marry a woman to then have a child before I have a child. No. I want a woman who can, same way like my mom, who gonna take care of stuff, work out with me. But at the same time, I don't. If there's something, listen.
Just because she lets you take care of it.
Who said that?
You just said it. You say you don't plan on having a child before you have a child.
Which is
just because she allows you.
Which is in reference to something.
No, I'm going to tell you what it just came back to me, sir.
Then how about you wait till I finish talking so then you know.
You're going to I don't want you to go.
You can answer. Listen, let's go there together. Like it's
okay. It's getting heated, JLD podcast.
But look, there's a difference because again, with that reference I made, but the current time period I live in, especially with social media, then the idea like, oh, if he love her, he gonna Dior. If he this is all the you have to remember, not everybody has a whole mind yet. And we'll never, until your end of the life, you'll never be done learning. But at a certain age, you're very malleable. Like at the age we are now, not everybody, like what, I'm 27, you 26, 20.
25, yeah.
Close enough, mid-20s, whatever. You're at a point where we're growing, we're now really learning more about ourselves and finding that comfort. But like, this is it's a crapshoot. Everybody in this area, like, some will know more, some won't, to the point where some will come in like, okay, well, I was on Shade Room and they said this, and this, so my next nigga got to do this, so I'm not even going to talk to him. Why would I answer your message? Try hitting me on Cash App. All the bullshit propaganda. I need you to know for some people who aren't whole, they hear that and they run with it. So at that point, you have to respond to people differently because you will get some people who just want to be taken care of. That's what I'm responding to. I'm not assuming that any woman that I can take care of will need me to.
Let's ask you.
I'm sorry, your development was delayed, and I'm also sorry their development.
Let's catch it.
No. I'm at a point in my life, I know what I want and I know what I don't want.
Okay.
Now, it's also going to change as I grow. But I know right now what I do and what I don't want. And I also know the type of people I attract and not people who sit there and say, oh, hit me on the cash. That's not, it's a joke. It's funny. That's not my level. We're not here. That's the people that I'm searching for. It's a joke to me. It's real life to them. But I'm not worried about them because those are also not the people that I put in my space and I share my energy with.
Right.
So that's not a concern or a problem for me.
Okay.
So when I tell you that you saying that you're going to attract somebody, if you want to take care of someone, just because you are attracting somebody who also, you have to find that person who's also going to allow you to take care of them. That does not mean, that does not mean she going to sit idly and not do anything. She could change your type. No, I won't.
Exactly.
I won't because that's the type of person I am. And if you pick a person who will, that's your fault. So I'm speaking. Why isn't your intuition there?
Okay, so you're jumping topic to topic because I'm speaking.
No, generally. I'm here.
No, listen, I'm speaking generally. I'm speaking.
She said she right here with it, man.
To the fact that
wait, hold on. Before you make your point though, or can you finish yours?
I'm not speaking generally because I'm not speaking to the general public. Right now I'm talking to y'all and the type of people that you are. We can talk generally. I hear generally every single day on the internet that it gets thousands or hundreds of thousands of likes. That's general.
Exactly.
They all agree with that.
Exactly.
But I'm telling you, if I'm going to continue, I'm not going to continue my life speaking general. I'm going to get focused because this is what I want to bring into my space.
Okay.
And that's what you need to do because that's the issue.
No. See, the thing is, that's not what I need to do particularly. But I appreciate you taking care of me.
No. You like to take care of things. That's all you, remember?
I speak generally because I want, when I say something of weight, of worth, that everyone's able to digest it, that it can mean something to everybody who hears it. Yeah, sure, we're having a conversation here, but we're talking to a topic that speaks, that is past us. So I'm going to speak generally. I'm going to express the fact that not all women will be that woman. So I'm not just going to to answer your question, I'm going to respond to the entire story, not just the part of it that I've already read.
Okay.
So no, I've read the whole story, and when you say, I know that I'm speaking generally. No, because I have this. We hear this every single day, all throughout the day. Now you need to hear something else. The world, everyone, everyone. We hear this the same thing. What you're saying, I hear that all the time. That's the problem. A lot of people get lost in what they hear and they start to believe it. Now I'm gonna tell you what's right. To me,
there we go.
To me, what's right and what you should, or at least just listen to it. Take this piece and be like, okay, some of that makes sense. That's something I haven't heard before. Maybe I should change my thinking into something that's different. I'm not focusing on that. I want to change. I want to make sure that we are looking at all angles, not just the general angle.
Okay, and I wanted to kind of chime in here, right? So this idea of looking at all angles and not just a general angle, and I think it's important to also highlight the fact that there are certain things that people might not necessarily add into their, their selling points, right? So the way they sell themselves, right? And I kind of want to talk about this again, to loop us back into this conversation of morals, because things got a little, JAD podcast, the fuck. But so I wanted to speak specifically about the parts that you add in, but then the parts that you decide to take out. And I want to specifically refer to that in terms of lying by omission, right? And I wanted to speak about that specifically in reference to, first of all, do you guys think it's a thing? Number one.
Yes.
And number two, why is it considered lying? If you think it is.
Ladies first.
No, go.
Let's get it. Come on, man. Let's do it. JAD podcast, baby. I'm loving it.
I personally only think it's lying if it's a topic of conversation.
Okay.
If it's relevant to whatever it is and you're steering away from it. Like, if you meet somebody in your 20s, listen, that's 20-something years of information. Like, you can't, because you ain't tell them about this thing that happened when you're 17, like, that's not lying. You just haven't got there yet.
Right.
It's only a lie of omission if you're avoiding it. If it comes up, if it's relevant, if it's pertinent, if it's something that they either should know or have asked about, or conversation is, and you've avoided it, especially if it's asked. If, like, topic is like broached, but it's not exactly that, you haven't, okay, you're just not ready. That's your business. Like, you don't have to be too open too early. Like, that's fine. But if someone asks something and you like tell part of it, that's a lie of omission. Okay, and then a secondary question for you, right? So you answer that part, but I want to know from you, right? Is it an immoral act? I know you said that there's a possibility that, maybe they're not at that level yet, right? But I wanted to know, okay, morally, you should be kind to one another, kind to people, be kind to, treat people how you want to be treated, right? But let's say you're omitting that information as a way to protect the feelings of somebody else. That's exactly what I was going to say. At that point, is it wrong to lie by omission? We'll come back to the earlier thing.
Can I just?
Okay, no, chime in.
Just that part,
okay.
Who are you to decide whether or not I need protection?
I mean, I feel like you can kind of know, right? You can kind of know in terms of lying by omission. You can know for yourself, like, yo, I know that this person gets offended when I comment on this specific thing. For example, right? Give an example. You can give an example. Like, say you're the one protecting me, right?
Okay.
Say if I'm the kind of nigga that, like, I can't handle none of your past. I can't hear. And, like, I asked a story that, see how you looking around now? You see this now? It's an example that you can connect with. So where you're like, all right, I can tell the truth and tell part of this, but, like, if I give this nigga too much detail, like, he gonna lose his damn mind. Like, because it's a common factor, like, because of the fact that, man, but is that not wrong though? Well, so that's exactly what I was gonna respond. It's like, that's the difference between unethical and immoral, right? To where ethically, yeah, sure, it's wrong. Like, it's like, that's not right. That's okay, whatever. But moral wise, it's like, it might be another way around.
Either way, whatever. One is wrong because it's like the idea of whatever it is dishonesty. And dishonesty by itself is wrong.
Right.
Or it could be manipulation, just depending on what's happening as a result of that.
And what's being
But the other one, if like, I do agree, it's like, who are you to say what I can handle and can't? But if you look at a situation and go, all right, I only been talking to this nigga for like a month, and I already know this nigga can't really handle this very well. I'm going to inch him into this a little bit. Right. So where I'm going to give you some, and I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to give you the gravity to this just yet because, well, I don't quite think you can handle that. And sure, yes, it is self-righteous to assume that oh yeah, I know what's best for you. But like discernment is like you kind of pay attention. It's like this information, what do you have to gain from it?
Okay.
The alternate, what do you stand to gain?
Right. Okay. So from you, right? So and to the point of what you have to gain from it, right? I feel like, I mean, for me personally, like it's not about what you have to gain from it, bro. Like I feel like at the end of the day, you said, who are you to tell me what I cannot handle, right? But I feel like for me, it's about patterns, bro. At the end of the day, I feel like, you know, like you said, the right thing to do is to make people, for me, like I'm really, especially now, like I can admit that, I mean, it was wrong. I admit that I really didn't care about how people felt about what I had to say half the time. There's a lot of things that I would say, and I'm like, I don't give a damn how you feel about it. You know what I'm saying? And that is wrong. And as the result of that, there are times where I will, I guess, I want to call it lying by omission. I would omit things that I know would, you know, make this person feel bad about themselves. And I think that is right. I think that is moral because it's like, yo, if this person might be a little bit more sensitive to me. You know what I'm saying? So
I think that is right. I don't think it's immoral.
So lying by omission is right to you?
No, not lying.
In that circumstance.
And everything does not need to be shared.
Okay.
And if it does not, if I'm giving this information to you for absolutely no reason, like this is not doing, I'm just sharing it because I heard it and I experienced it and I want to share it. But you're asking me a question, I can answer that question without giving you everything. Okay. Then I'm going to do that because it does not need to be shared. Yeah. If it's not going to hurt anyone in the room, if it's not lying, it's me choosing what part of me I'm going to share that's also going to wholeheartedly answer what you need. Right. It's going to tell the truth. I don't have to give you every single part.
And this goes back to your point of, I believe that this is right for me, and this is what I have chosen to share with you.
This is what I'm trying to share. Right. But also in the same part you said, saying like, oh, well, I know she can't handle this right now. Patterns.
Right.
I don't believe it.
So
you said patterns, you said you can't handle it. Both of you. I don't. My type of person, I don't believe in that. I don't waste my time.
Okay.
So if I'm asking,
I don't want to interrupt you. No, you contradicted yourself because you said I can answer without giving you all this information, and I can wholeheartedly answer your question. But at that point, you're deciding what wholeheartedly an answer to the question is for them.
No, I'm wholeheartedly answering your question. I don't have to give you every single. I'm giving you the answer to your question.
But are you truly answering with your whole heart? If
there's something you're holding back.
I'm not holding it back. It's not in the back of my head. No, it's not in the back of my head. Like, ooh, maybe I should share this. I don't need to share it.
I feel it.
It's not aiding. It's not making him understand me more. Right. It's not helping the question be a little bit more understanding the question and answering it correctly. It's just I don't need to share that if I don't need to share that. But also, when people are when you're lying by omission to me, it's like you know that they asked you a question. There's something that you are not giving them that can help answer that question.
Is that wrong?
That is wrong.
Because what you said earlier, where you said that you won't say certain things if it could hurt them. One, if someone asks me a question that I know the answer might be, I don't do lies of omission. I go, okay, well, are you sure you want the answer? Because I'm about
to give it to you straight up.
But I need you to know, I believe there might be some details that you don't really want to. Like, I will literally spell all of that out.
As you should.
And that's different because I can say two things. One, blunt and unrefined and take it however you leave it that you reference, or I can say the same thing kind of molded specifically for you to take in well and for you to your comfort. I mean, but without anything omitted, it's just maybe I won't use wildly descriptive, not like I only ask questions that I want the answers to.
Do you come up with the same answer both ways?
I'm sorry?
You said you can do it bluntly, just tell me. You can also just like take some things back and not tell you wildly descriptive. Do you get the same answer to that question both ways?
Oh yeah, and I have a really foul mouth, so I always start with the fucked up one, but then in my mind I process it out to the good one. Yeah. So but it answers the question.
If it answers the questions the both ways, it's not lying by omission. You're getting to that point.
But you're saying that it's wrong to leave out parts of the question that
is
needed. That's relevant.
Necessary.
Yeah, like that's what she's saying.
And also it has a lot to do with you as a person. If you're not able to tell someone what needs to be told because you're afraid that they can't handle it, that you're protecting them, you don't need to be speaking to that person. Period. I'm a very, like you said, I'm a very blunt person.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't do that. I am a little judgmental too. Cut it out.
I'll be cutting up.
I am a very blunt person, and every single person in my life, in my circle, my friends, my family know that I am very blunt.
Right.
So when I say stuff, I don't sugarcoat it, and I don't put people in my life who I have to sugarcoat myself for. Because I know how I am, and I don't want to take that. I don't want to have to like minimize who I am as a person because I want to protect someone's feeling. Because I'm saying it not malicious. I'm not saying it to be rude. I'm saying it to give you what you asked for. Yeah. And if you're not going to take it the way that you want it, if you're not going to take it the way I gave it to you, you're going to take it a whole different way, I can't have you.
Okay, but
you drink black coffee without sugar, don't you?
I don't drink coffee. I drink tea.
Ooh, come on, man. Okay, but think about this though, right? So lying by omission, we're talking person to person. Okay, but let's even something corporate, right? So lying by omission. Your bill is due, whatever case it is, they call you, whatever, for whatever case, situation, you don't get paid till Friday, it's due on Tuesday. And they ask you, what's going on, you're calling them, you're trying to give them a reason, you tell them, I'm down and out right now, but truth be told, you bought your new pair of shoes and you can't buy them, whatever, right? And you choose to omit that part out of it. Morally, right, you lied.
Yeah.
And you omitted actually what the money was allocated to. At that point, is that wrong? So we're not talking person to person now, we're talking in terms of outside of just our friends and our associates.
Yeah, well,
at that point, is that no? That's what I'm saying.
It's wrong, but you do it, and everyone does it.
Right.
So because it's wrong.
Okay.
But it's wrong.
No. See,
that's what I'm saying.
No. For you to take such a hard stand on that idea before, you got to take such a hard stand on right is right and wrong is wrong. But as opposed to call it an okay wrong.
It's an okay wrong. It's an acceptable wrong. How about that? It's an acceptable wrong.
Okay, can I want to get a definition of an acceptable wrong.
Deal.
It's wrong. I shouldn't do it, but everybody does it.
So because everybody
does it, doesn't make it okay. It's still wrong.
Okay.
But it makes it a little bit more acceptable.
It's a little bit more right than other wrongs.
That's conditioning.
It is conditioning. We should take ourselves out of that place, but that ain't my job.
Why it's not?
It's not my job.
How it's not?
It's not my job. It's something that is happening and has continued to happen. I wish it didn't. I wish we were all good people and it didn't happen. I wish we were good people and it did not happen, but it happens. So if I decide to partake in it and do it a little bit too, I'm so wrong. I'm sorry, God. I'm gonna say I'm sorry, God, when I do it, but it's a little bit more okay.
But you say that I'm sorry, God, with a smile on your face. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
So you do believe that there are certain things. This is gonna be our final question. But do you believe that there are certain things that are wrong but are socially acceptable?
Definitely.
Yes.
Can I get one example from both of y'all before we land this plane today?
No, you sir.
No.
Now y'all trying to defer. Y'all had a lot to say the whole time.
Honestly, it's because I want to think of a good one.
Yeah, I do too. So
the one thing, like for example, for me, okay, I'm gonna give the example, right? For me, if I got some damn bills due, you feel me? And for whatever reason I can't pay it, I'm gonna lie.
Oh, for sure.
I'm going to lie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Lying is wrong, morally. You know what I'm saying? If I can avoid a late fee, I am lying. Guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like you said, socially acceptable wrong. But at the end of the day, I feel like I've reached the point where, what are these businesses really doing for me? Black man, black woman, you know what I'm saying? Why not?
All right, now don't make the activist voice.
My brother.
I did not put that pair of shoes in my hand. The man put the pair of shoes up.
I mean, hey, but at the end of the day, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like
he told you about them shoes.
I mean, yeah, like, but at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like there's certain things in life though that we deem as wrong generally, but we still decide to do.
What I'll say is that's very much depicting on where you live, like your economic group, your culture, your geographic location, because the what's right and wrong varies from place to place in this world, from status class to tax bracket to religious views to cultural bias. Like it very much varies, and
that's where we're gonna land this plane today. Finish your point, and then I know exactly where I'm gonna land it.
To the point where culturally, like, and I'll use what you said earlier, in like a lot of foreign cultures, sugarcoating and politically correct is not a thing. To where in Nigeria, if you think someone's getting fat, say you're getting fat. Yep. And then but mind you come here, it's like, why would you say this? Like, is it my fault that she's getting fat? Mm-hmm. Did I make her fat? Did I put the burger in her hand? No, but in our culture, like, that's fine. And it like, that question is, there's plenty of things to the point where, like, if you're talking just within your group as men, for years, I actually don't, and I've said this recently, I don't lie very often. It takes work, but honestly, I'm a great liar. But I've lied more for my friends and
then you lie for yourself.
Yeah, PR for them and their situations than for myself. Oh, listen, the stories I could tell, but like to the point where these lies never get found out. It's taken as true. But within that group chat, within that friend circle, it's like it's completely fine. Okay. To where you now put it on a topic table like this, where there's different views, and you'll go, no, that's wrong because you now, whatever, somebody else, to where. That's agreeable, sure.
I agree. So I think is okay, and this is just me personally, if it doesn't hurt anyone.
That's subjective.
It is subjective, but also when it's not that subjective, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is a harmless lie. For example, I don't ever do this. I don't ever do this at work. But if I need a day off, I'm sick.
Yeah.
I'm sick. That I'm not sick. I'm in the Dominican Republic. But if I call and I say, I don't feel well right now, that's a lie.
Right.
I needed that lie.
Right.
I needed to get that. Does anyone get hurt? My kids don't get hurt. I taught them what they need to teach.
Right.
It's something that I really think it's not okay. We should be those type of people. Like I said, I'm gonna tell you what I need to tell you and I'll call it a day. But I can't do that to my job because they're gonna be like, no, you cannot go to DR. You have to go to work.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to do that little harmless lie.
Exactly.
If your boss was lying and now you've harmed the trust that your boss had for you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, and I think that's an interesting point that you made, and I want to combine them for this final question, like I said. So your justified lie in your mind is something that's not hurting nobody, right? And you brought up the fact that there are certain cultural factors that play into what we consider to be right or wrong, right? And I heard you mention religion specifically, right? So religion and not hurting anybody, right? And I wanted to finally ask this question of morals in reference to premarital sex. Right? And specifically, what I wanted to know is it wrong? Why or why not? And what is the reasoning behind it? Premarital sex, it's not hurt nobody, right? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, y'all just vibing.
Might hurt some
people. Consensual premarital sex is not hurting anybody.
I mean, listen, she can't walk there.
Wow, got it, fuck yeah, get it.
It's like that, but like.
No, but like, okay, to that point, right? So, not hurt nobody, but from a religious point of view, right versus wrong is, considered different.
Even either. No, it can't.
I want to hear this from both of y'all then.
So I'm going to get a little deeper. No, it can hurt somebody.
Let's speak on it.
But at a point that you don't really realize.
Let's speak about it.
Because you'll get into interactions with people that you're now not paying attention to all the wonderful things that you pointed out that you should know and whatever when you're looking for someone.
Right.
To now you're distracted by, I enjoy them physically.
Right.
To now you're bordering the line of now you're breeding feelings and a connection that honestly is not actually real as far as like this person's.
But he's not talking about just like premarital sex with any and everyone.
Well, no, the thing is, if you married at that point, you already did all the testing to figure out. Because listen, I ain't asking nobody married for nothing. Listen, I didn't test the shorty with everything I could think of. Listen, I even just said think fast one time and she called it. At that point, I'm like, all right, cool, that's the ring. Let's go. Like, but at that point, because honestly, you know what? You're right. I'll be more specific.
Okay.
Morally, do I think it's wrong?
Morally, do you think that premarital sex is wrong? Let's talk about it, man.
Yes, and I'll just go.
Yes,
it is wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
Why is that though?
And morally, it is wrong.
Okay.
And let's just think about this. And I'm thinking about religion. I grew up Muslim.
Okay.
I grew up in the mosque. My family are all Muslim.
Okay.
So if you have that conversation about sex, it's no. That's the conversation. And I know it's morally wrong because I'm not going to go tell my mother I just fucked somebody.
Okay.
Because I know she's going to look at me differently.
Right.
I know she's going to be like, oh, wow, is that what you just did?
Right.
Are you serious?
Right.
If I'm afraid or like not even afraid, if I'm keeping it a little bit to the side with her, I know in my heart that's something that's wrong I shouldn't have just done.
Right.
It was fun.
Right.
It was. But
Right.
I shouldn't have done it because
Right.
it goes against what I was raised on, what I believe in.
Right.
And as a person, you can, as you grow older, you can change those beliefs and you can alter it a little bit to make it fit you. Like, I'm not gonna have sex with everyone. This is one guy I think is really cool.
Right.
So like, that's cool, guy. Let me get a little slide off of that. But it's still wrong.
Okay, I got you.
And it's wrong.
Okay, and she just saved your ass there because you got a little quiet and did a little. Is it wrong? I don't know.
Okay, so my views on a lot of things are a bit like. So I'm
a politically correct answer right now.
No, not even.
Let's hear it.
Honestly, it's not about to be politically correct.
Okay, let's talk about it.
It's a little uncomfortable. My views are like, so my relationship with God is extremely important to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it grabs a lot of my choices and the way I give grace to people in certain situations. And at the same time, my relationship with God, I oftentimes
You backslide.
it's not even just backsliding. There's a bit of space. Oh no, we human. Listen, we're never gonna be perfect. Backsliding, that you gonna do that.
Guaranteed.
Till. But like the space between like your relationship and then religion has a bit of a variance because of just the history of how people have marred and used religion for their own personal purposes.
Right.
Now, when it comes to premarital sex, do I think it's wrong? Sure. I do. Do I do it?
Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong?
And the thing is, the reasons that I think it's wrong, aside from the fact that the Bible says it's wrong.
People pick and choose what they want to believe, what they want to follow in the Bible.
The thing is, honestly, me personally.
Same with the Quran.
Me personally, the things that I think are wrong stand. The things that I do aren't exactly the same things because we all do wrong, sin every day, no matter what we do.
Consciously or subconsciously.
Exactly.
Right.
So like that's of no consequence in this situation, but it's like, do I think it's wrong? Sure, but for a number of reasons, not just for the Bible says it's wrong part. To the point of like the point that I was making, which has brought me back to, it's like I can end up grafting something with someone that it's not meant to be. That is, they're not the person. That now, 2 months, a year, some time from now, I'm now having to work through this, causing my life difficulty, their life difficulty, whatever can come from that, because we had sex. Like, granted, sure, if you get to know them really long and you have sex later at the right time, sure, it's in that regard, it's fine. But no, in that regard, like not towards this point. But most times, don't nobody wait that long, because do you know how long it takes to truly know somebody?
And to find that person.
Exactly, but not past. Well, yes. And if you find them, but mind you, a lot of people, they're like, oh, but look, what's the common thing that people say? Do you go and buy a car without test driving it? I'm like, well, no. But at the same time, I hope she beats your ass for calling her a car.
But we also have to think about like think about religion, when these rules were made and what they were like.
Like, what were the times at the time?
The times
exactly.
back then, because
Socially.
at those times it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna date you for 2-3 years and get married to you. It's like, no, perfect fit for you. I like him. You guys should talk to each other and then get married.
Not even.
Right.
So it was a lot.
My parents
Put us
together.
and now it's that.
Born, yeah.
So it wasn't that long of a wait as it now. We are a lot harder of a generation of a people now. It's like, you gonna work for me, you gonna work for this. That marriage is a lot further than it was back then.
Yeah. Right, which is true.
6 years, if y'all was wondering.
And I kind of wanted to weigh on that. 6 years, that's crazy. But I kind of wanted to weigh on that too.
You said 30 years before. I think you right.
So I kind of wanted to weigh on that too, right? So I think, conceptually speaking, from a biblical point of view, premarital sex is wrong, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of people indulge in things that they know is wrong. At the end of the day, like, does it hurt anybody? You know what I'm saying? Especially if y'all just vibe. I understand your point though of, like, you're building a connection with somebody that you probably should not have been building a connection with. So if you think about it that way, you know what I'm saying? That's why you shouldn't do it. But in terms of like, I feel like it's also possible. That
was the moral regard for me.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, morally speaking, it is wrong to build, and I keep air quoting it because
it's so
it's wrong because that's what we've told. You're supposed to only do this with your wife. You know what I'm saying?
We lie every day, and every sin's equal. So at that point, like, putting so much weight in this, mind you, people will lie if you think it's in the greater good of somebody else.
Don't point at me.
I'm sorry, not her. But no, but it's like what you say, an okay lie, but you don't feel as much about it. You say, my bad, God, to where, honestly, technically, the way that it's written, those are the same thing.
Right.
So where, as far as my feelings about, I have a lot of very ambiguous feelings. There are a few things that I do have very like, nah, this is wrong.
Yeah.
But like, it's very few, because honestly, at the end of the day, not speaking religiously specifically, everything that every value, every ethical law, every whatever, that is somebody else's depiction of life that they pass down to us. So at the end of the day, what is right and wrong?
what she wanted to be.
Exactly.
Which is the point that you read at the beginning.
That's your own morals. Like, you can say, this is right to me. And honestly, this is your life. You get one of them. So you live it how you want to live it. So if it's right to me, that's what matters. If it's wrong to me, that's what matters.
I have one question for you.
Okay.
If you no, because I agree with that.
One question before we land it, man.
If you have one thing that you think is like just in the world right, what would it be that you think is right?
Living in your own truth.
Granted.
What's yours?
Being good to people.
I would agree with that. Yeah, being good to people. Like,
wait, she about to say, and then you said
no. Matter of fact, I would say treating people how you want to be treated. I think that is probably the biggest moral act, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Was it the golden rule? Is that
golden rule?
The golden rule.
Exactly.
That no one follows.
No.
Legit. I mean, not no one. I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, good people do.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you try.
Exactly.
But our needs are different.
Right. Okay. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Jay out there in the building. This has been season 3, episode 10 of the show. It's love, appreciated, honor, appreciated. Thank you to everybody who's been listening to season 3, man. This is the finale right here. I didn't tell you at the beginning because I didn't want y'all to be too sad, man. But follow me on Instagram at Joe the Great. That's JOETHEGR8, as well as my podcast page at j.ade.pod. We got Kalimo right here to my left. We got Steven to my right, and we just spoke about morals today. Make sure you check it out. Check out the page. Check out the videos. Check out all of that. Season 4, bigger and better. I guarantee that. So, once again, thank you to everybody. We out.
Let's get it.
Peace.
Woo!